Hello, my name is Amanda Hearn, and I'm a school psychologist. Welcome to Social Support Networks, the 4 types of support everyone needs. By the end of this presentation, you will better understand the benefits of a well-developed support network, be able to identify the 4 types of supports every network needs, and be able to recognize and develop these connections in your own networks. Why is it important to develop a well-rounded social support network? Aren't a group of friends enough? According to the Mayo Clinic, studies have shown the benefits of a well-rounded network of social support include the following. Early intervention. When you're surrounded by people who know you, they can notice signs of stress before you do and encourage early intervention to keep you healthy and happy for longer. It improves your ability to cope with stressful situations and can alleviate the effects of emotional distress. It promotes lifelong good mental health, enhances self-esteem, and lowers cardiovascular risks, such as lower blood pressure, that can help you live longer. A social support network is made up of friends, family, peers, and professionals. Social support is different from a support group, which is generally a structured meeting run by a leader or mental health professional. Although both support groups and support networks can play an important role in times of stress, a social support network is something you can develop when you're not under stress. It provides the comfort of knowing that your friends are there for you when you need them. Take a moment here and think about the people in your life that you have turned to for support over the years. Has it always been those same people? Have you reached out to different people for different reasons? Has your network changed over the years? Do you have a network? Let's look at the elements of a well-rounded social support network and see how the people you just thought about fit into each of these 4 categories. A well-rounded social support network has 4 key elements: emotional support, informational support, appraisal support, and instrumental support. These supports can take many forms, and different people can meet these needs at different times or places. Your network at school might look different than your network at your job or on your sports team, or it might be exactly the same. It may change from year to year as your courses and interests change, your life changes, or the people in your life change. Sometimes one person might provide more than one type of support for you. It's normal for our support networks to change as we change and grow. People will always come and go in our lives, and there may be times when we find our support network isn't what we would hope for, particularly during times of great change or transition, like when we change schools, graduate, or when a friend moves away. Let's spend a few minutes learning more about each of these types of supports and what they might look like in real life. First, a well-rounded support network includes someone you can turn to for empathy and encouragement, or emotional support. This is the type of person you might think of as your cheerleader or shoulder to cry on. It may be your best friend, a parent or caregiver, an online friend, or even a teacher who's been there for you for every step of a difficult project. This is the type of support that comes to mind when most people think about support networks, the feeling that people are there for you and you aren't alone in good times and bad. People often gauge the strength of their social support networks by this element alone, when in fact, no one element is any more important than the others. Take a minute to think about who these people might be in your life right now. Have they changed over time? Do you turn to different people for emotional support for different reasons? If you can't think of anyone who fits this role in your life right now, can you think of someone you could cultivate that relationship with? Every social support network also needs an informational support person. This refers to having someone you can turn to for advice and information. This element is most likely to change over time, depending on your needs. It can be a friend who's particularly good at listening or helping you problem solve, but it may also take the form of a mentor, a resource teacher, or coach, for example, who has experience making certain types of decisions or who has a lot of background knowledge in a particular area. Some people are fortunate enough to have one person in their lives who can provide informational support in many different ways, sort of like their own personal Yoda. But not everyone can be a Jedi, so it's okay if you find that you need multiple people in your network to meet these needs. Take a moment to reflect on the types of informational supports you have in your current social network. This type of support can be particularly valuable when you're starting something new or starting over at a new school and still unfamiliar with how things work. The third element in a well-rounded social support network is appraisal. This is a person you can count on for honest feedback, no matter what. This one can be tricky for many because it can be difficult to receive constructive feedback, even when it is from people you know and trust. We all need that person who can tell us that we have lettuce stuck in our teeth, toilet paper on our shoe, or that we were wrong, even when we don't want to hear it. For some people, it's easier to receive this type of feedback from a friend we trust. But for others, it's much easier to receive feedback from someone we perceive as more objective. There are even hashtags on social media devoted exclusively to receiving this type of feedback from strangers. It doesn't matter which works best for you, as long as you have someone you feel comfortable asking for feedback from when you need it. The last key element in a well-rounded social support network is someone who can give tangible aid and service, meaning someone you can call when you need a favor or help with a last-minute task. These are often people we think of that will help us shovel our driveways after a storm, clean up after a party, give you a copy of their notes when you're sick, or give you a ride home when you've got a flat tire. Again, this is another area where the people may change from day to day or situation, depending on what your needs are. Now that you know what the 4 elements of a well-rounded social support network are, let's take a minute to reflect on the people you identified as being a part of your social support network at the beginning of this presentation. Did it include people in each of these categories? Is your network stronger in some areas than others? Are you facing the prospect of needing to rebuild your network after a change or move? Let's talk about some ways you can build or strengthen your network. If you found your support network is stronger in some areas than others, or maybe you've been struggling to build one altogether, that's okay. Take a moment now to identify people in each of the 4 categories that might be a good future fit for you. Remember, the people in your support network don't all have to be friends. They can be acquaintances, trusted adults, or even people whose job it is to provide that type of support and information. The important part is recognizing and identifying people who can help you meet your needs. This is especially important to keep in mind when starting someplace new, where you may not know anyone just yet, or you've had trouble making connections with people in the past. Once you start making those connections, coffee break with a friend at work, a quick chat with a neighbor, a phone call to a sibling, a visit to a house of worship, or volunteer work in your community are all ways to help develop and foster lasting relationships with others and strengthen your social support networks. It's also important to remember that support is a two-way street. Identifying the people in your network is just the first step. To maintain and strengthen those relationships, it's important to remember to stay in touch, answer phone calls, return emails, reciprocate invitations to let people in your network know you care. Don't compete. Be happy instead of jealous when your friends succeed. Be a good listener. Listen when your friends are speaking and find out what's important to them. Don't overdo it. Listen when your friends are speaking and be careful not to overwhelm your friends and family with phone calls and emails. Save those high demand times for when you really need them. Remember to appreciate your friends and family and take time to say thank you and express how important they are to you. And remember to give back. Be available for friends and family when they need your support. You may very well be a part of their social support network too. Cultivating a well-rounded social support network can take time and effort. Sometimes we all need someone to bounce ideas off of, ask questions of when we're learning new things. If you need a cheerleader, advice, help with self-evaluation, or even someone to help introduce you to some good resources, your school counselor or psychologist can be a great resource. We're here to help, so please, come see us. Thank you for listening to this presentation today. It was a pleasure creating it for you. We hope you found it helpful.